I've obviously returned from leave and I know that has caused some great anxiety in Australia.
Australia's Prime Minister returns as the bushfire death toll rises. Also, India's Prime Minister squashes the idea that his controversial citizenship bill is anti-Muslim, and
what was a very dry region and area is now lush with green vegetation just before Christmas.
how flooding is nurturing Kenya's fragile ecosystem. And it is the season for everyone's favourite Christmas card. The British Royals bake up a storm. We're going to have that story as well. Hello and welcome to Connect the World. I'm Linda Kincaid in Atlanta, filling in for Becky Anderson. Good to have you with us. Well, at least 9 Australian families will wake up this Christmas without their loved ones. Authorities say that is the latest death toll from the nationwide bushfires that have ravaged the country since September. Nearly 800 homes have been destroyed, and Sydney is disappearing under a blanket of smog from the nearby fires. Environmental officials say breathing in the city's air is like smoking more than 30 cigarettes a day. One of the many symptoms of the devastation that shows no signs of slowing down. Hundreds of active bushfires are raging across Australia after a record-breaking heatwave. The unprecedented number of fires has already burned millions of acres and destroyed hundreds of homes all over the country. Experts are saying rain is desperately needed, but in some areas rainfall has not fallen in over a year, and it's not expected for months. The blazes are exacerbated by rising temperatures surpassing 40 degrees Celsius, wind and, of course, the historic droughts. The conditions have created the highest level of danger in recent days, according to local authorities.
I feel extremely worried for the whole of Lithgow. The danger is extreme. I'm very afraid for all of us.
There are hotspots in every state, but in the southern parts of New South Wales and Victoria, the situation is desperate, with over 100 active fires in each area.
Everyone's offering to help, but there is nothing they can do. Not for us now, just stay out, stay safe, and we hope that the fires can do their job.
But the firefighters, many of them volunteers, are getting tired.
I can't just keep going day after day after day after day, but we have to at this stage.
They say it's time for the government to act.
They've got to come up with solutions for these problems. Climate, fires, drought, farmers. That's their job. That's what we vote them to do. The opposition and government to sort this out, to come up with solutions.
2 firefighters died earlier this week when their vehicle hit a tree and rolled off the road during a firefighting operation. It prompted Prime Minister Scott Morrison to announce his return from a much-criticised holiday in Hawaii, while expressing regret for his ill-timed trip.
I've obviously returned from leave and I know that has caused some great anxiety in Australia.
Critics blame the Prime Minister for his inaction on climate change, something Morrison has denied in recent weeks. During his absence, Acting Prime Minister Michael McCormack also recognised that further action is needed, but added that a lot of hysteria about climate change is also part of the problem, linking bushfires to other causes.
It has always been the case. Our government has always, and I have always acknowledged the connection between these weather events and these broader fire events and the impacts globally of climate change. I'm sure people equally would acknowledge that the direct connection to any single fire event, it's not credible. We must take action on climate change.
In the meantime, authorities are asking residents in New South Wales to be wary and stay away from the danger zone. The fires, they say, will continue throughout the holidays. Well, authorities say some of the fires are so big they're generating their own thunderstorms. A witness captured this video of one fire climbing up the side of a mountain. He told Reuters that they were told to evacuate, but he decided to stay behind to help fight the fires. That, of course, is on the outskirts of New South Wales. Our correspondent Simon Cullen is in Queensland, which is obviously just above the border of New South Wales in the southeast of the state, and he filed this report.
Well, Linda, as we've just heard, the death toll from this Australian bushfire crisis tragically rising to 9. That, of course, is 9 families that have been torn apart just days before Christmas. And nationally, the authorities are saying that 800 homes have been destroyed. That, of course, will make for a very sad Christmas as well. Now, where I'm standing at the moment is very close to the border of Queensland and New South Wales. These, of course, is 2 states that have been devastated by the bushfire emergency. And the smell of smoke is still relatively thick in the air, even though the fire, the nearest fire, is still several kilometres away. Further south, though, in New South Wales, that's where the bushfire emergency is most intense. That's where dozens of fires are still burning out of control. It's forced the closure of major roads. That, of course, is going to make holiday travel difficult for families as they head away for the Christmas break. Now, for the firefighters who are battling these blazes, there are thousands of them. Most of them are volunteers. They will be hoping that a cooler change that is coming through Australia at the moment will offer some relief, but the forecast is that it will only be temporary. More hot weather is expected in the coming days, and according to the New South Wales Fire Chief, he says that there is no significant rain forecast for his state until at least the end of January. So that means the hot, dry weather is likely to continue. And Linda, that means for the coming months, there are still several hot months of weather still to come, and Australia's bushfire crisis is still far from over. Linda?
So thanks to Simon Cullen there. Well, after a weekend of deadly protests, India's Prime Minister is blaming opposition parties for misleading the public. Narendra Modi held a massive rally on Sunday, telling supporters that the country's new citizenship law is not anti-Muslim, despite the widespread criticism.
The Muslims who were born on Indian soil or whose ancestors are children of Mother India, brothers and sisters, they have nothing to do with the citizenship law or the National Register of Citizens. Neither Muslims are being sent to any detention centers, nor are there any detention centers. Brothers and sisters, this is a white lie.
Well, CNN News' 18 Maha Siddiqui joins me now from New Delhi. Good to have you with us. So, Prime Minister Modi not only accusing opposition parties of inciting these deadly protests, he is in fact defending this controversial law.
Yes, in fact, he's defending it by saying that this law is meant to actually give shelter and citizenship, rather fast-track the citizenship of the persecuted minorities from 3 of the neighboring countries of India, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh, and that this has no bearing on Indian Muslims. But the Citizenship Amendment Act is being opposed on 2 counts. One, the fact that citizenship should be linked to religion in the first place, because this is in what the opposition and all other protesters say violation of the Indian Constitution, Article 14, which says equality before law for everybody in the country. Also, secondly, the larger concern of the Citizenship Amendment Act is when it's linked to the National Register for Citizens, and that the Home Minister of the country, Amit Shah, has said will be conducted nationwide. Now, the Prime Minister today said that there has been no dialogue within his government about the National Register for Citizens, because that is something that has not been discussed. However, the Home Minister himself has on 5 occasions made a connect between the Citizenship Amendment Act and the National Register for Citizens, as well as on the 10th of December said so on the floor of the Parliament that the National Register for Citizenship nationwide is going to be rolled out. The National Register for Citizens, what does it mean? It basically means that it will make a list of those who are Indians and those who are not, similar to what we have seen in Assam. However, the government says that it will be very different from what has happened in the state of Assam. However, the connect here is that if you are left out of the National Register of Citizens, everybody barring Muslims will be automatically granted citizenship because of the Citizenship Amendment Act. The only ones who will be left out will be the Muslims who do not have documentation to prove that they are Indians. That has heightened concerns, and that is why we have seen people step out on the streets against this law.
So, Maha, the death toll is now 22, and critics obviously say this law is a way to marginalise India's Muslim minority. What is it going to take for the Modi government to reconsider the law?
Well, so far they have shown no indication of backing down on this count. However, they have said that suggestions from people are welcome. The Home Minister, Amit Shah, who brought this bill in Parliament, has said that they are going to roll out the Citizenship Amendment Act. However, 8 states in the country have said that they will not implement the National Register for Citizens, at least, and some have also said that they are not going to implement the Citizenship Amendment Act. Out of these 8 states, there are some who are in alliance with the central government, and they have also now backed out. In fact, some of them had even voted in favor of this bill in Parliament, but looking at the public sentiment, they have gone back. So that is the only concern that the government could have in trying to push this law forward. Secondly, there are at least 60 petitions against this law in the Supreme Court of the country. The Supreme Court has said that they will take up this matter on the 22nd of January. Now, if these petitions that are in the Supreme Court are able to make an argument that this is unconstitutional, it is only then that this can be stopped.
All right, Maha Siddiqui from News 18, good to have you with us for that perspective. Thanks so much. Well, still to come, after months of uncertainty and a tedious ballot counting, Afghanistan's election results are almost in. We're going to have a live update on this. Plus,
I was very scared then. Right now, I'm still scared. I'm scared that one day the Chinese men will catch me, or that if they see my uncle, he will sell me away again.
we're going to hear horrific stories of human trafficking from women who survived their treacherous journeys to the United Kingdom.